Welcome everybody to DisruptED TV, where every little idea could make a big change in your positive change in your school or in your classroom.
Absolutely.
And our guest today, Joe, is an interesting guest in that we're kind of turning the program format around a little bit. Dr. Edwin Torres is a software engineer at the MITRE Corporation. Do I have that right?
That's right.
Okay, and Ed, if you don't mind, Ed is developing a proposal to capture and understand student voice, which is a subject that's come up in prior episodes.
Absolutely.
Because as Ed pointed out before the program, most student voice polling is that survey you provide at the end of the semester.
Right.
I'm getting the impression that Ed wants to develop a project to make that more ongoing. Before we talk about that, though, I have a question. I want to get some basics down. What is the MITRE Corporation? Tell us a little bit about that.
So first of all, thanks for the introduction. And the MITRE Corporation is a not-for-profit company that operates federally funded research and development centers for the government. So we partner with the government on a variety of projects. So my role there is a senior software engineer, and currently I'm working on a project with the FCC to assist the deaf and hard of hearing with making complaints to the FCC, because right now they have an old system where they have to contact an interpreter. It's expensive, it's clunky, but our software is an open source solution that's cheaper, more cost effective, and hopefully it'll be a better solution for them. So right now that's the project that I'm working on.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you're also an adjunct professor at Brookdale Community College?
In Monmouth.
And also Monmouth University,
Yes.
is that right? So you've got teaching experience, which
Yes,
is
I
very
do.
important.
So I've been an adjunct professor for the past 5-6 years or so, and I'm currently teaching 2 courses. One is a software engineering course at Monmouth University and a programming course at Brookdale Community College.
Okay, great. Now, okay, your project, when we formulated, I know you're working with other members of the DisruptED TV team on this. Your project, when it's fully formulated, will be a system to capture student voice. Is that right?
Yes, so the way it works is at MITRE, they allow employees to propose a research area of their choice, as long as it matches one of their innovation areas. And what makes it more desirable for the company to approve it is if we collaborate with industry as well as government. And this is an opportunity for us to collaborate with DisruptED TV as well as the Department of Education and the DoD. And if that type of partnership or collaboration would really increase our chances of getting this approval funded and going ahead with the research.
And building an impactful solution that makes a difference, which is really the ultimate goal of all this.
That's right, right.
That's what's exciting about this. Okay, so talk to me about student voice. What is student voice?
So student voice is a chance to allow students to take control over their education, to give a voice what works for them, what doesn't work for them. And each student is different. And if we don't have the efficient and effective ways to hear and get feedback from the students, then we can't transform education. We can't improve the way education occurs from higher ed all the way down to elementary. So we need to hear from them, and currently the methods for student voice today they're old, they're not as efficient as they should be. At least this is what we hope to discover with the research that we're going to propose to my company.
Okay, great. Now, without necessarily predisposing the solution, because you're a software engineer, we could expect technology would be involved in the solution that we'd ultimately develop. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And in the next week or two, we're going to come up with a draft proposal for student voice. But I envision that once we define the research problem and really figure out some research questions, that there could be a prototype, and I'm hoping that there will be a prototype that could demonstrate a better platform for student voice, and maybe more efficient, and maybe a platform that students would actually be engaged in and really want to participate with.
Okay, great. That would make a difference. So you want it, whatever the solution is, you want it to be engaging. It can't be burdensome. It can't feel like homework. It's got to be something the students want to do.
Right.
And it's got to be simple enough for them to be able to do it without giving up a whole day to it or whatever.
Easy and brief.
Yeah, it's got to be easy to do.
Those are right. Those are excellent points, and I'll give you one example. So at Brookdale Community College, at the end of every course, we have a student survey that students can fill out. However, not all the students fill them out no matter how much you ask them. You can send email reminders, you can have professors remind them in class, but students, for whatever reason, just are not engaged. And as far as I know, that is the only method of student voice currently that I'm aware of at Brookdale Community College. So right there is a huge opportunity to improve student voice. And they're the ones that are the target of all this education. And if they don't have that voice, then it's, education is not as effective as it should be.
As it should be, or as it could be. And it's not just a popularity test for the teacher, isn't that right? I mean, it's not just about do you love your teacher or not. It's got to be more about the experience of the student.
Right. Yeah. It's not only about is this teacher effective? Is the teacher prepared in class? It's also is it the right level of coursework? Is it challenging? Does it meet all the research, all the topics that you wanted to cover in the course? It's a lot more than just rate my professor.
Right. Okay. More than that. So, do you see this then as a system that would be university only, or do you see this at multiple levels of education?
Oh, I think it would be multiple levels. I mean, you have the problem anywhere a teacher is involved with a classroom. So, that's higher education. It's graduate students, undergraduate students, high school, and even lower. So yeah, it's universal, and I think it's something that I think should be able to reach all these students easily. And in today's internet with mobile apps and websites, there's no reason why every student can't have a voice.
Can't have a voice at every, and not just at the end of the semester, but potentially throughout the entire school year at various points.
Right.
Speaking from your point of view as an adjunct professor, how would this help you?
Well, one thing that I do at the end of every class, or I look at my course materials and I kind of self-evaluate and see what worked well, what didn't work well, what did students want me to do more or less, and for this reason, every course that I teach is a little different than the previous course. So that's what I look for. I just want to get feedback. I take notes during the semester and see, okay, the next time I do this, I'll do it a little bit differently based on the feedback that I received. But again, that's just me happening to hear this from students, but there's no formal way for me to collect that data. And if we had an app or a website or a better platform for student voice, that would be a great help to me to improve the next time I teach the course.
That platform for a better way to listen to the student voice is really what we're talking about here.
Right.
That's great. Okay, we need to come up on a break. When we come back, I want to broaden that conversation to include a couple of other topics that come up on either side of student voice when we talk about student voice, and we'll be right back with more DisruptED TV after these messages. Our culture is what we believe in, and our brand is what we do in our work. When our brand and our culture are in alignment with each other, we become more than just good. We become excellent. Think of this alignment as a mix of flavors in our water cooler. When we gather around and drink it ourselves, we're savoring our culture. When we serve it to our friends and neighbors, we're expressing our brand. So, what's in your water cooler? For groups of all kinds and sizes, our Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit will provide you with a unique water cooler recipe that expresses and makes you the very best at what you do. It all starts with a simple, affordable 20-minute online survey. Completely confidential, you can take it whenever suits your schedule. Within 2 days, you'll receive a BCAT report that expresses your team's signature brand and culture in plain English, and includes simple exercises that will help align your team's leaders, stakeholders, and members.
Just like you, my world was always full of big dreams. Dreams of what I could learn and who I could be. Well, the roadmap to those dreams? It starts here. AEOP is the Army's educational outreach program. It's a place where students like you can take advantage of exciting science, technology, engineering, and math programs. AEOP provides Army-sponsored research opportunities, competitions, internships, and unique learning experiences working alongside Army's world-class scientists and engineers. The programs take place in state-of-the-art labs and research facilities across the country, as well as online. AEOP is designed to ensure America continues to be a technological leader in a globally competitive world. And it's designed to help you reach for the stars and grasp those big dreams. It starts here. Learn more at usaeop.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to DisruptED TV. My name is Al Cini,
I'm Joe Osmendi.
and our guest today is Dr. Edwin Torres of the MITRE Corporation. He's a software engineer. We're turning the program around a little bit. Instead of us offering ways to help you, we're asking you to send us suggestions and ideas to maybe help us. Dr. Torres, Ed, is developing a system to capture student voice at every level of education at various points along the way. And whenever you're developing any kind of a system, you need to make a list of all the things that that system needs to do, right? Critical to quality components that that system needs to have. During the break, Ed, you shared with us one of the points. Oftentimes, students are reluctant to offer opinions because they're afraid that they're being judged or could you talk a little bit about that?
That's true. That's one of the problems that I see, in almost every class that I teach, and students, they don't feel like it's a safe environment to provide feedback to me, no matter how much I ask or no matter how much I offer help, or no matter how approachable I may appear to be. The fact that I'm the one, assessing them and giving out the grade, sometimes students are not comfortable with coming to me with feedback. Sure, I can get praise, but critical feedback is not always available to me. That for whatever reason, they just don't feel comfortable providing that, and I totally understand that, being their teacher.
But you also mentioned too in the first segment that something else you look for, aside from a ranking about how you did, something else you're looking for from your students is some sense about how what you're doing could be done better. So.
That's right. So, every class I teach is slightly different from the previous one, and I do my best to listen to students, see what works, see what doesn't work, and improve on the course the next time around. But for me, that's me more pulling that information, trying to pull what the students are saying or what they appear to be saying, and it's not a direct platform of student voice where they're free to just give all their opinions without any fear of any repercussions. And that's something I think we need, because the more free and the more open that they are about providing that voice, then the easier it is for educators to improve how they teach.
Okay, no, for sure. Now, your particular perspective on this is from your point of view as an adjunct faculty member at universities, Brookdale Community College and Monmouth University.
Right, yeah.
But we're talking about, and in fact, we have other people on the DisruptED TV team, like Rich Allen, our Director of Education, who popped in during the break to talk a little bit about what grade school teachers might need and maybe high school teachers might need. So in addition to a how am I doing kind of feedback, it may be that a particular student might have a physical condition that I may not be aware of, and I need to find a way to capture that. So that in other words, I think the goal of a teacher, especially at those levels of education, is to try to give each student what they need based on the requirements that they have and the unique characteristics of that student. So is capturing those kinds of elements part of this project, or part of what you think you want to do?
Yes, that goes along with the fact that every student is different. So the more you know about a student, their backgrounds, what prior education they've received, or any special needs that they require, all of that is going to help educators like me provide a better, more effective learning experience for that student. I'll give you an example. So at Brookdale, this one course that I teach is a programming course, but I often find that students come in and they have varying levels of programming experience. But I don't know that, even though I give them an opportunity to express that in the classroom and talk a little bit about what they've done before. It's not a safe environment for them, at least from what I'm seeing. So I don't always know, if they've ever written a line of code before, or if they've written 1,000-line programs. I don't always know that, and I try to pick up on that. If I knew that, then I could really shape my lectures to help those students and the students in general in my class, because then I would know more about each student, and that's part of this as well.
That makes you more effective. And it could also be that a teacher, an educator, somebody at some level of education might have a different program to follow for each student based on their requirements and background and orientation.
Right, that's correct.
I mean, there's no reason why those things couldn't be flexed. And so student voice, part of student voice is gathering that as well.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If I knew the varying levels of skill, of programming skills that I see from these students, then I could, offer up assignments or offer up additional lectures to help those students, in a sense, catch up to the rest of the class. But if I knew that the entire class was already skilled at programming, then we wouldn't have to do that, and we could work on the more advanced concepts and achieve more as a classroom.
And do more. So you can have 3 or 4 different classes going based on the 3 or 4 different profiles of students in your class.
Right.
So that everybody gets a chance to succeed, even if it might be at different levels.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and this is a common problem that I see in every class, where I'll have students that are excelling, and then I'll have other students that are seemingly lost and trying to catch up. And again, it's sometimes I find out too late, because they don't have that platform to express to me that they need the extra help. And again, a student voice platform would be, I think, would help the situation a lot.
Okay.
It seems it's such an important thing to a student voice and the concept, but there's no comprehensive way of grabbing it right now.
Right.
That's the whole point. Actually,
Right.
that's a really good point. What you're looking to do is to try to create a broad
Right.
general platform for capturing these unique elements of individual students, so that teachers can more effectively navigate their way through a school year
Right.
based on the students they have at that moment, at that time.
Right. I mean, currently, all that I've seen is an end of course survey, but a student voice is something to be captured before, during, and after a course.
And that survey can be, not every student might not want to fill it out for the reasons you mentioned.
Right.
So
As much as I encourage them to fill out the
Right.
surveys, and the university sends them emails to fill out the surveys, it's just not important to them. But their feedback is important to us, and we need to hear from them.
Oh,
So-
definitely.
Right.
And we need to hear from the people who are watching the program. I mean, as we're talking, we're essentially having an early meeting of what is this system going to look like. And you're telling me the system has to, I can't feel unsafe. I have to feel like I'm free to say what I need to say or want to say. I should be free to express myself. The system has to be forward-looking. It has to be aimed more at improvement and less at judging. It's more about how do we make things better and less about who's failing and who's passing. And it also has to be comprehensive enough to pick up all the aspects of the student experience and not just grades. Is that right?
Right. I'd also add to that this, whatever the concept is, this platform for student voice, it needs to be highly available. It needs to be engaging, something that students want to interact with and want to use. Because without that, then it'll just be another platform that's unused.
That nobody uses.
Right.
And that's very
It's
important.
got to
Okay,
capture their interest from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
okay, we're coming up on a break. This is a great conversation, and I know we can count on the people who are watching this episode of DisruptED TV. A little later on, Ed is going to explain how you can reach him with your ideas and your suggestions on how this system could be developed and how this proposal could be put together.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back after this break for more DisruptED TV.
Don't go away.
Thank you.
I went to college right after high school, but it didn't work out. After a few years in the workforce and the birth of my son, I decided to give college another try. At Brookdale, something clicked. I met amazing professors and found a major I was passionate about. I made the dean's list, landed a great internship, and now I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree. Thanks to Brookdale, I have what it takes to see my dreams through. I'm Tara Boyce, and I came to Brookdale to give college another try. I never imagined I would find my passion.
Welcome everybody back to DisruptED TV. My name is Al
I'm
Cini,
Joe Osmendi.
and our guest today is Dr. Edwin Torres, Ed, of the MITRE Corporation. And we've turned tables on you. Instead of us giving you ideas, we're looking for ideas from you. What we'd like to do is to develop a system, build a platform to capture student voice in a comprehensive, non-threatening, forward-looking, improvement-oriented way, which is what we've really been talking about up till now.
Right.
So we hope you're watching. We hope maybe you're writing down a note or two, or maybe capturing an idea or two about what this system needs to do and how it has to do it. Because we're at that stage, and ultimately the goal is to build a system for you. So Ed, in your head, I know you're a software engineer, you're already imagining this as an app, is that right?
That's right. I mean, without going into the details, the whole point of the research is to determine what would be a good, effective app to capture student voice. But I feel like it's going to end up being a mobile app. I mean, most people have phones. They usually have them with them. So if they've got them in the classroom, they can certainly open up the app and give a rating or give quick feedback very quickly at the end of a class, even during a class. I know in my courses at Brookdale, they're usually 3 hours long, so there's a break. So it would be nice to see at the break, how did I do? So I feel like, an app would be the best way, most available way and convenient way for students to provide that student voice.
No, I think that makes sense. And you also brought up as an analogy the Uber app. What was it about that app that you...
Oh, right. So when you take an Uber ride, for example, at the end of the ride, you rate the driver rates you, and it's very quick. It's, based out of 5 stars. I mean, wouldn't that be great, after I taught a course or after my lecture, at the end of the class, the students rated me, and I was able to get immediate feedback. I mean, even if it was a rating out of 5 stars, it's something. It's some type of data. I may feel like the class went great, but I don't know what the students think. But an app like that, they can quickly rate me on my performance, and I get something immediate. And it's something that I could correct for the next class a week from then.
Or as you mentioned, if you had an app that people could use during the classes, et cetera, it can be ongoing, so you can always improve.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I could improve mid-class.
Right, exactly.
If I could get that feedback right away.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
If I were teaching 3rd or 4th grade and I had a student in my class that had difficulty seeing the board, the sooner I know that in a given semester, the more quickly I can respond to that challenge and move them closer to the board or get them evaluated for glasses or whatever it takes to solve that problem. But often I don't find out I have that problem until it's too far down the road.
Right, that's a great example, and I'll give you one real-world example. So I teach with a projector, and I show this Eclipse IDE on the projector, and it pretty much shows the program, and we're editing the program. And one time I found out that the font size was too small, and students in the back couldn't read it. So it's a quick and easy thing for me to just increase the font size in the IDE, and then now all students can see it. But for whatever reason, the student sat through the entire class, did not tell me that at all until the end, or maybe even the next class. And the student asked if I could increase the font size. So
because they didn't have an opportunity to do
see,
it.
Right.
That the whole idea that you elevate a student's role from spectator to participant in the experience is exciting to me, because it means that they're much more engaged in what happens in the course of their educational day. And, and that capturing those voice elements, listening to the student gives you an opportunity to adjust around what they tell you. Let's talk a little bit, too, before we close the program out. Remember, for those of you who are watching the program, we're going to want ideas from you on how to capture student voice and what would be important to you, what would be useful to you. If you've already done something like this, we'd like to know about it. And I think our other viewers would like to know about it as well. But before we tell everybody how to reach you with those ideas, I think it's wonderful that the MITRE Corporation gives you this opportunity. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that?
So this research program at MITRE is something that's available to all employees. And the idea is MITRE is constantly innovating and trying to improve the research they do for the government in particular. So it's a competitive process. Employees can propose different research areas, but the fact that I can collaborate with DisruptED TV and with the Department of Education here in New Jersey, as well as the DoD, that makes it very desirable for my company to approve the proposal, I'm hoping. And if they do approve the proposal, like I said, it is competitive, and there are several down select processes. But if they approve it, they'll provide the funding and allow MITRE employees, me being one of them, to conduct the research and then collaborate with the different agencies and DisruptED TV, and and transform student voice and
Student
hopefully
voice.
improve it.
Make student voice a real active part of the educational day,
Right.
and not just sort of an afterthought, which is so
Exactly.
important to do. And when this system is built, it will be made available to educators at no charge?
So I would hope so. I mean, these are things that are hard to answer now without doing the research. I don't know what the costs are, but yeah, that would be the goal. I mean, you know, we want to improve student voice, and it's not something that I would expect students to pay for because it's hard enough to get feedback from them.
It's tough enough to. It can't cost them anything, so we need to
Right.
find sponsors too. We're happy to work with you on that. If anybody out there has any ideas along those lines, that would be helpful.
Right.
But I think the ideas around how to capture student voice, how to analyze it, who
Yep.
should hear the student voice, because we really didn't talk about that. Teachers, I guess, need to hear, in a way, we're asking students to keep a journal of their experience
Right,
as a
exactly.
student.
Right, and share that with educators and, you know, the universities.
So it's not just a multiple choice, did you like this, yes, no, it's also about what challenges are you facing in the classroom,
Oh.
what difficulties. I would hope that student voice, part of student voice would be capturing social interactions that might be negative, like bullying problems.
Oh, sure. I don't see why. I mean, that will affect learning in the classroom as well. So yeah, I think if it was an anonymous platform where they felt safe to provide feedback, that is absolutely part of the conversation.
Yeah, that's terrific. And how long a timeline do you imagine for this project?
Well, I believe these research projects at MITRE last anywhere between 3 months to a year. But again, it depends on the scope of the research and, you know, and whether they feel like it's something they'll want to fund. So we won't really know that until probably a couple of months once we make the proposal. And what happens is you make the proposal and then internally it's discussed among different employees, and we kind of iterate through the proposal, and then based on that, they'll decide how long it should be funded. But then there could also be follow-on research.
There could be follow-on
Yeah,
research.
so-
It could be changes to the system
Right.
based on feedback from the users.
I mean, it's my hope that this research occurs and then it builds a long-lasting partnership with, you know, the Department of Education and the DoD to keep working and keep improving student voice.
That's terrific. It's a great objective, a great goal. It's a very important problem, and we need your help solving it. So we're at that point in DisruptED TV where our guest, where Ed Torres gets to tell you how you can offer your ideas and your suggestions to him, because we certainly appreciate any of that. So Ed, go ahead and look in your camera and tell everybody how to reach you.
So the quickest way to contact me is on Twitter at Edwin Torres, or you can send me an email at my university address. It's etorres@monmouth.edu.
Great. Ed, thank you so much
Thanks
for
very
being a guest
much.
today.
Appreciate it.
Important subject, and I wish everybody luck with this because I think it is important.
It's an
It has
important
to be
subject. We
done.
need to get this done, and
Yep.
we can't get this done without help from you. So we're hoping you're watching DisruptED TV. To give you a sense of the timeline, this is January of 2018. The program will be up for a while. But no matter where we are in the calendar year, offer your ideas, offer your suggestions. This is an ongoing effort.
Yeah,
Yes, I
continual
would.
improvement.
Yeah, I would love to hear the suggestions. If you've worked with student voice and you have some ideas or things that have worked for you, things that haven't worked for you, please send them my way, and students as well. We want to hear from you most of all because, you know, it's your voice that we need to hear.
After all, and that's right. That's so important. So
Right.
thank all of you for joining us today on DisruptED TV. My name is Al
Still
Cini,
Joe Osamendi.
and Ed Torres. You were a terrific guest, and we're looking forward to seeing where this all goes.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks very much.
Thank you and the audience, too.
Yeah, it's great. It's good stuff.